Hello and welcome to episode 275, guys. Right, we are back on the bank for another 3-dayer. Back to fishing on my own again for this one. So, where am I? I've driven down sort of nearly 2 hours south down to Hampshire, and I'm at a venue that I've not fished for 2.5 years, and that is Linbrook Carp Fishery. I'm in peg 5, which I pre-booked because it's a double swim. There's I think 12 swims on the lake, but the double swims you have to pre-book. So that's what I did. I booked peg 5 because I've been here before. I know the lay of the land, and I know there's features in this swim that produce, so that's why I booked this swim. Obviously we'll have a look at that later in the video. As you can see down here, I'm not fishing yet. Got here about midday. By the time I got my kit down to my swim, I've got all my bivvy up so far. The only thing that's not set up is my rods, which are down here. If you can hear that noise in the background, the lads who work here are doing a lot of tree maintenance around the fishery at the moment, which is why I couldn't get here any earlier than what I wanted to, because the lads had been in this swim doing some swim maintenance this morning, so midday was the earliest I could get here. So anyway, it's 2 o'clock now, so we've probably got about 2.5 hours of daylight left, so to get set up and do me marker work and that I need to do, I'm probably going to be fighting against the daylight. I'm going to do what I have to do all off camera, and then where I'm fishing tomorrow we'll have a look at that closely, just so I can crack on and get fishing. Right, without further ado, let's go fishing. Right guys, I know I said I wasn't going to do any filming until I got fishing, but might as well while I'm doing me marker up work. So as you can see to the left hand side of my swim, there's a nice reed bed, albeit dead reeds, and that was one of my reasons for wanting to book peg 5, because I know that, I've been here before, because I know the lake. I know that was a reed bed to the left of this swim, and also I think it's just at a shot, but to the right of the reeds, just beyond the reeds, there's an aerator as well, what they sometimes turn on when they need to, and if that's going, obviously aerated oxygenated water, that's another spot to fish to. So anyway, I've done a bit of marker at work already, for what will be the left hand rod to them reeds over there, so I'm just going to double check. Yeah, perfect. So that'll be the left hand rod. And it's also, it's clearly a spot people fish to regularly, because it goes down with quite a donk there as well. So right, just need to wrap it up around the wrap stick so I can see how far it is for when I do put a rod there. And then yeah, next rod to mark up will be somewhere in the region of that aerator, which is just at a shot. Right guys, we are almost ready to get fishing. If you can hear that racket in the background, sorry about that guys, nothing I can do about that, but as I said earlier on, the guys are doing some lake maintenance at the moment, which they're still doing. But anyway, we're almost ready to get fishing. What's the time now? 3:15, so I've probably got about an hour of daylight, so we're not far off getting fishing. the rods are now more or less set up. I haven't got rigs out yet, but the rods are now set up and clipped up to the ranges I'm gonna fish on the particular spots that I'm gonna fish. Because it's getting late in the day now, I'm not gonna spod today or tonight. I'm just gonna make up some PVA bags. I've got some boilie crumb with me, and then I've also got some maggots with me. You might say, oh, why have I picked this particular venue for this session? Two reasons. One reason is because I've been keeping an eye on social media on the Lynbrook page, and it seems to have been fishing well lately, so that's number one reason. And number two reason we'll come to later on. I've not got it set up yet, but number two we will look at later on. But yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, so I'm not going to put any spod out tonight. We're going to just feel the way into the session and just make up some PVA mesh bags. So as I said, I've got some boilie crumb here, and then I've also got some maggots. So I'm just going to put a bit of boilie crumb in, a few maggots, bit more boilie crumb. Where's me pusher? There we go. And then we would just make up some, a little bit bigger than I intended it to be fair, but yeah, I haven't even made up my mind what rigs I'm going to put on yet, guys, but obviously whatever rigs I do put on, I'm going to have some PVA mesh bags put on just for tonight, and then that way we can feel our way into the swim, into the fishing, and you know, we'll make the next one a bit smaller. That one's a bit bigger because that can go on the shortest range. I only intended it to be about half that size, to be fair, but not very aerodynamic, but hey ho. So yeah, so I'm going to crack on and do this, guys. So yeah, so basically that's the plan. Just a little bit more maggot, a little bit more crumb, see if that's a better size. So yeah, so we'll just feel the way into the, yeah, that's a better size. So yeah, so we'll just feel the way into the session, yeah, just with mesh bags to begin with. Oh yeah, that's a bit better, a bit more golf ball size, that one. That's a bit better. I mean, obviously if I do spod tomorrow or whatever, you know, it won't be a lot of bait. And again, if I do spod, I'll just spod out what I've got here, the boilie crumb and maggot. In fact, I won't spod out the maggots. I'll save the maggots for going into mesh bags. So let's get a bit of the actual dust from the boilie crumb. Some maggots. So right, anyway guys, oh dear, hope I've got more mesh in me bag because I didn't realise. I was that low on mesh. Those of you that are regular viewers to me blogs. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw me use mesh? So spare reels of mesh isn't something I normally keep in the armoury, to be fair, but mainly because I don't use it that often. Right, anyway, I'm going to crack on, guys, and before I start to make this vlog a bit too long with pointless waffle. Right guys, so after a bit of faffing, I'm finally ready to get the first rod out. So I'm going to fish good old Ronnie rigs. Got the old new nuts pop up on there. Was a 15mm, but I've trimmed it down a bit. And then what I've also done, tipped it off with a few maggots. Tested it in the margins. Absolutely balances lovely with just a few maggots on there. And then we will clip on the biggest mesh PVA bag, just because this is a short range rod, so it'd be easier to cast the bigger mesh bag. Right, the fishing is about to commence, guys. So what have we got now? 3:45, so I think I should be able to get all the rods done before it gets too dark. Yeah, big old mesh PVA bag didn't cast. Wasn't very aerodynamic, to be fair, but... And also, since the last session, I've now spooled up with some new line. If you saw the last vlog where I was getting terrible line twists, we've now spooled up with some line I've never used before, but I picked this one on the recommendation of my mate Craig, and that's the Gardner, is it txi-d is it called? But yeah, never used that line before, but I've heard a few people on social media saying it's good line, so that's what I'm trying. Right, that's the first rod out. Right, because we are, you know, fighting against the light now, I'm going to get the other two rods out off camera just so I can crack on and get fishing, and then get the bivvy sorted out as well, because the bivvy's still a bomb site inside. So yeah, so that's it, guys. Like I say, I'll put the camera away now unless any fish come along, so yeah, fingers crossed, and then if nothing happens in the night, I'll see you in the morning, guys. Right guys, I know I said I was going to put the camera away when after that first rod, but yeah, all three rods are out. I'm almost forgetting now the daylight hours are lasting a bit longer. It's well, it's almost 4:30 now. Around about Christmas time it would have been dark by now already, but yeah, I'm forgetting that we got a few minutes of extra daylight every day now. So yeah, I mean, there's not much daylight left. As you can see, the sun's just disappearing behind the horizon. Yeah, all three rods are out, and they all went out perfectly, lovely jubbly with that new line. But seeing we do still have daylight, I thought I'd go into reason number 2 why I've picked Lynbrook. So not just because on social media I've been seeing it's been fishing well, but this week is particularly cold. I mean, what's today? Is it the 17th today? Let me have a quick look at... Yeah, it's the 17th today, so those of you, by the time you watch this, if you look back at the weather, you'll know there was a big freeze last night, kind of woke up to -6, -7 degrees, and this whole few days while I'm on the bank, it doesn't get much warmer, to be fair. It's the nights are below zero, and the days are going to be only a couple of degrees above zero for this whole session. So yeah, so that brings me on to why I have picked Lynbrook for this session. I'll spin the camera around, diddly-diddly-diddly-doo. And here we go. One of the unique features of Linbrook Fishery, all the pegs have got electric sockets in them. I mean, you do have to pay extra to use the electric. It's an extra £7 a day if you want to use the electric. But this time of year, and you'll see why it's well worth it. So, you know, we'll follow the extension lead around behind the bivvy, and then it goes into the bivvy there, and here's the good bit. Oh yes. So obviously there's a plug, and then you've seen already a little 2-bar electric heater, guys. So it's going to be lovely and toasty in my bivvy for this session. So £7 a day extra for your electric on top of your fishing this time of year. That's £7 when you can bring an electric heater. It's well worth it, guys. Oh, some of you hardcore anglers might say, ah, that's not fishing. I don't care, because it means during this cold few days on the bank, means I can sit in my bivvy and be lovely and toasty and warm. Obviously, because it's electric, I can zip the bivvy door right up and keep all the heat in at night. Don't have to worry about any fumes and whatnot as you would from a gas heater. So yeah, that's why I've picked Linbrook Fishery. It's fishing well, and you've got electric, so I can have my heater on. Oh, it's cold out here. Oh, morning everyone. God, absolutely freezing out here. God, the rods are frozen. Well, everything's frozen. It was down to God knows what in the minuses again last night. But yeah, everything's frozen, all apart from a bivvy. Lovely and toasty in my bivvy, guys. You know, I don't normally shut the door, but when you've got an electric heater, you don't want to lose that heat. Everything's frozen, all apart from a bivvy. The only bit that's frozen are the sidebars and the peak that don't get the heat. But anyway, yeah, on to the fishing. It's obviously been a quiet night, guys. I'll tell you what, my camcorder, like being in a warm bivvy. Normally after a cold night, I lose a lot of the battery, but the battery is still perfect. But yeah, anyway, yeah. Obviously, because the camera didn't come out in the night, nothing happened in the night. Just after I put the camera away, the guy in the next to him come running down to my swim and asked me if I could take a photo for a fish he had. So I didn't see the weight of it, but it was a cracking scaly fish, and yeah, sort of, you know, unhooked it, quickly done the photos, and then he weighed it and everything after I went so I could get back into my swim. So I've seen one fish, just not in my swim. Yeah, it's a gorgeous day. The sun's just coming up over the tree line horizon to my left. Gorgeous blue sky. But yeah, absolutely bitterly cold still, obviously. So obviously we'll crack on with today's event shortly. First things first, it'll be to have some breakfast, then it'll probably be the normal facilities run. I'll have to have a check through my tackle bag, see if I've got a refill of that wide mesh to make up some more bags. But because nothing's happened up to now with just the mesh bags on the rigs, I probably will. In fact, I probably won't need to do any mesh bags actually, because what I'll do today now is, because nothing's happened up to now, I will put a couple of spods out on each spot that I'm fishing. So yeah, the mesh doesn't matter, to be fair now. Alright guys, so sorry if I'm squinting a bit because the sun is so blaring. It is blinding at the moment and really warm. So warm, in fact, I've actually had to turn my heater off because I was starting to bake in here. But anyway, onto the fishing. So we've had to have our morning facilities visit, so obviously the rods are wound in at the moment. So I'm just having a little bit of a rig change. I mean, when one of the bailiffs come round this morning, he'd asked me if I'd had anything, and I said no, and he told me the spots to fish, which practically I already am anyway. But then he was saying, you know, scale everything down if you're fishing big, which I was. I had size 4 curved shank hooks on, and he was saying that the local lads, you know, the regulars who fish here a lot and do well, normally catch kind of, you know, on smaller hooks. So because everything is quick change these days with, you know, quick change Ronnie swivels, I've just whipped off the size 4s and then I'm just re-rigging with size 6s. So, and then there's going to be another change as well when the rods go back out. So there we go, that's all 3 done now. So still the Ronnies, but we've just gone from a size 4 to a size 6. And then I started off this session fishing the old nuts pop-ups. Well, looking at the social media pages for this fishery, a lot of the catches seem to be coming out on pink hook baits. So I quickly popped to the van, went in my bag, and I've dug out pink seafood 12mm pop-ups and then the pink seafood wafters. So I'll put, obviously, oh, not obviously because you don't know, I haven't told you yet, but what I've done, I've got 2 pop-ups and 1 wafter. So that's going to be the plan. The pop-ups are 12mm, so obviously a bit smaller, and then the wafter I've got out, I've just sort of cut the rounded top off as well, just to make it a little bit smaller. Then what I'll do, I'll carry on fishing with the maggots, which I need to get around the corner. So yeah, so I'll still put the maggot tops on these hook baits, and then when these rods are gone out, because nothing's happened up to now, I'll spot a couple of spods of that bait out earlier on, as I said I was going to do this morning, along with the maggots as well. So not a drastic change, just scaling down the hook size and changing to pink hook baits, which seems to be the go-to colour on the catch reports on the social media pages. So well, I'm going to crack on and do this, and I'll get back to you when the rods are going out. Right, so we are all now rigged up on all 3 rods. As you can see, this is the wafter with the maggots. Apologies for the glare on the screen, guys, but as I said already, it is nice and sunny today. It just so happens that the sun is in my face, so it's keeping this side of the lake nice and warm. So yeah, so I'm going to put this on the right hand side, and again, when the bailiff came round earlier on, he pointed out to me where the fish normally fizz. I mean, they're not doing it now, but they was earlier on when he showed me, and it's just to the left of an ivy covered tree on the far bank. So already clipped up to that range. It's exactly 11 wraps. Should have put my Polaroids on really for casting into the sun, because it's a bit blinding. And that was on the money. Right, rod number 2, and the first one with the pop-up tip with maggots. This is wrapped up at 10 wraps, and yesterday I mentioned the aerator off the end of them reeds there. So now the camera's pointing in that direction, we can see it. Obviously it's not on at the moment because during winter a lot of the water's naturally oxygenated anyway normally. So yeah, so we're going to be aiming towards the end of that aerator with this middle rod, guys. Once again, that was on the money. Right guys, rod number 3 about to go out. The second Ronnie, pink hook bait, maggots as we've already seen. And this is going to tight to the reeds on the left there. The whole reason why I wanted to pre-book this swim, because of being able to fish to a reedy feature. Nine wraps and 2 foot on this tree stump if anyone's interested, if you fish it after me. Oh. I'll do that again because that went a bit left. There's almost where it hit, the reeds come out a little bit further on the left. Oh, PVA foam still on there, good. I just wanted it a couple more foot to the right to be on the spot. That's more like it. Right, let's get the old spod rod wrapped up. To the spots I'm going to fish, or already am fishing obviously. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we'll just take a foot off just to allow for the swing back of the rig in this water. And then what I'll do, I'll go straight then back down to 10 wraps, take another foot off, pop it in the clip for the middle rod. And down to 9 foot, 9 wraps, not 9 foot. And pop that in the clip as well. So that is all 3 spodding distances clipped up and ready to go, guys. Obviously we'll start at the shorter range. When I've put a few spods on that rod, obviously we'll take it out of the clip, then we're clipped up to the 10 wrap range, then same again when it comes to the 3rd rod. Simple really. Let's get some bait out, guys. Well, obviously because it's winter we don't need a massive amount of bait to go out, so I'm just going to do 3, I use the midi spawn. So I'm just going to do 3 on each spot. I think that would be enough just to, hopefully get some fish in, or if they're already there, get them grubbing around. Same mix that I made up my mesh bags with yesterday, just the boilie chops, and then I'm going to stick some maggot in as well. Little sprinkling of maggots in with each spod load. Tree stump makes a very nice convenient spod stand. Bit of maggot, bit of crumb, again, bit of maggot, bit of crumb, slightly undercast it then. It did it the clip, but only just. Once again, bit of maggot. bit of crumb. Oh. Completely messed that cast up. The braid got stuck on my finger. So, because that didn't hit the mark, we'll still do another one, just so it hits the mark. That's better. Right, and obviously that's the 3 spod, so line out the clip. And then, oh. And after all that spod didn't even open. Oh well, because we've took the line out the clip now, we'll leave just the 2 spods on that range. Because now we're on the 10 wrap range clip. We'll put that one back out on the middle rod. Right, anyway, right, I'm going to carry on doing this. Like I said, 2 more on this rod, then the 3 on the right hand rod. I'm not going to film them all so I don't drag the blog out for too much. I'll crack on and I'll be back with you later, guys. I'll tell you what, guys, you wouldn't think it was a mid-January winter day. I mean, my weather app says the ambient air temperature is 3 degrees. But with this sun blaring, I've literally had to strip down to a t-shirt because it's so warm in the sun. I'll tell you how warm it is exactly. Oh, I've had to break open a cold cider to cool down. Yeah. So what's the rest of you doing on this Wednesday afternoon then? At work? This is a life. Good afternoon or early evening. It's 4:15, so the rods have been out, what, 3 hours now? Well, say 3 hours since the recast that I done today. And it is getting cold again now. The sun is just dropping below the tree line horizon off to my right, and now the sun is dropping. It is getting cold again, as you can see. Hoodie's gone back on, and so has my bivvy heater gone back on as well. Yeah, so anyway, the fishing. I'm not going to redo the rods with fresh hook baits. I don't think there's any point. As I said, they was only recast all 3.25 hours ago, so I don't think there's any point in putting fresh hook baits on when the hook baits are only a few hours old to go into the night. Plus, it would just disturb the water. Obviously, we did a bit of disturbance earlier on with the spodding, plus a couple of miscasts on the spod as well. So, yeah, there's no need to disturb the water, no need to refresh. So I had to do a quick edit because my phone started ringing. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, there's certainly no need to disturb the water any more than I have to, just for the sake of replacing a few hour old hook baits. Good morning everybody, and yeah, unfortunately another fishless night. Yeah, I've only sort of dragged myself at me bivvy, and it's 10 o'clock already this morning, and I've only just dragged myself at me bivvy about half hour ago because once again it was another freezing night, -2, -3, something like that. Everything was frozen out here. When you're all zipped up in your bivvy with a heater on, it's very difficult in the mornings to drag yourself out of that warmth out into the cold morning air. But yeah, so I've only done that about half hour ago. But when I did drag myself at me bivvy, I was just stood up on the pathway back there watching the water, and the signs are good. While I was watching the water, one of the bailiffs came round, and we were stood watching fizzing, you know, clearly feeding fish, where my left hand rod is up against the reeds and where my right hand rod is sort of off the end of that aerator. So we know at least 2 of my rods are on the spots, because yeah, we were stood there watching the fizzing come up where my rods are. So I'm not going to touch the rods yet. I'm going to have some breakfast first, and then you know, do the normal. I think when I redo my rods, I might just have a random on one rod, just chuck it out into open water as a single and see what happens. Stay obviously on that spot on the reeds where I've seen the fizzing this morning, and the spot at 11 wraps where again the fizzing of feeding fish was. Kind of the spot to the right of the reeds, kind of aiming at the aerator. I haven't really seen anything in that direction, so I'll probably leapfrog the rods, you know, where the fish have been fizzing off the end of the aerator. I'll make that my middle rod, and then chuck a rod long on the right hand rod. And just try something different I haven't done up to now to try and make something happen. But yeah, it could be another warm day. Hello. Well, I say it could be a warm day. Once again, it's an almost blue sky. The sun is once again blaring in my face. But I would have put the camera onto that area to show some of the fizzing, and I say would have, I did try just before I filmed this piece to film some of the fizzing, but can't actually pick it up because of the sun reflecting off the water. So anyway, right, crack on, have breakfast first, and then yeah, probably get back to you in a couple of hours when I'm going to do a recast or something, I expect. Right, just watching the water, guys, and yeah, the spot where that right hand rod is fishing is I've just managed to get a little bit of the fizzing on film just to show you guys. But so yeah, I'm definitely not going to wind the rod in just yet, or any of the rods for that matter. But yeah, it's only that one spot that's doing the fizzing now. It's stopped by the reeds, but yeah. Oh yeah, I've just had my cheese toast. It's still only 10:30, so I'm not going to touch the rods yet till probably at least midday to put on some fresher baits. But yeah, just thought I'd show you that they're still fizzing on my spot, guys. So you know, the signs are good that the fish are there and feeding. Just got to wait for one of them to trip up on the actual hook bait now. Right guys, so we've had our daily winding for the use of the facilities, etc, etc, and yeah, just getting the rods back out for what going into the sort of the third and final 24 hours of this session. So as I said earlier on, one of the rods I was just going to pub chuck it into the middle of the lake. That I have already done, so one rod is already out, and it literally was that, no finesse, no aiming, just look at the middle of the lake and just chucked it, and it's in the middle of the lake somewhere. No bait, no mesh bags, just fishing as a single, just seeing if that will do anything. So second rod, what will be now the middle rod, which was my right hand spot on the 11 wrap range that we managed to film some fizzing on earlier on. So still fishing with the pink hook baits, tipped with maggots as well, so no change from what I was doing yesterday. Absolutely on the money. Right guys, so third and final rod, and obviously it's a rod fishing tight to the reeds over there. Bit too tight to the reeds. In fact, that was just off me mark a little bit, so right, because I did it the reeds, just check the hook point. All good. Attempt number 2. Perfect that time. Hi guys. Not really spotting out a lot of bait, but I've still got most of me maggots left, so I'm just spodding out me maggots just to get them used up. So I've put 4 over the middle rod, you know, where we saw the fizzing earlier on. I'm not going to chuck any towards what is now my right hand rod out in the middle of the lake, because I'll just leave that fishing as a single, you know. Just try that tactic is leaving it as a single for the duration of the session on that rod. So I've probably got about 4 midi spots of maggot left. That's going to go on the left hand rod. Little dunk in the lake first, just to add water to the spawn, because there's no weight to maggots, and the weight of the maggots alone usually isn't enough to open the spot on its own. actually we may only get 3 on this rod. Oh. And completely stuffed that cast up. Really should wear a spotting glove, really. The line got stuck on my finger again. Yeah. So, looks like we're only going to get 2 spoms of maggot on that spot. Oh then guys, so I've had the old camera pointing at the rods here for the last 3 hours since the recast was done for the day, and still nothing's happened, but once again the sun is just dipping down below the tree line horizon off to my right there. So yeah, probably another half hour of aiming the camera in this direction, hoping to get a daylight bite on film before the camera has to go to bed for the night. So, fingers crossed something can happen this 3rd and final night. And I've probably been doing the right thing. I feel like I've been doing the right thing. Maybe I could have chucked a zig out somewhere, but you know, when you look at the social media pages of what's been coming out lately, it's all been coming off the bottom, like as I said earlier in the blog, like, you know, small baits, pink baits, maggot tip baits, it's all been off the bottom. So that's exactly what I've done as per what's been working for other anglers lately. So, you know, I didn't really see a need to change or differ from that. What I was thinking about earlier on, again looking at their social media pages, I think it was on Instagram, what I didn't realise was, I think it was just 2 or 3 days before I turned up for this session, the lake was seal texed. So so maybe that's just put the fishing off for you know, for a little while. I know on other lakes I've been before too, where, you know, where it gets seal texed, the fishing often goes a bit quiet after that's been done, and it's probably the case here, but I only saw that had been done once I was already here. So, but hey ho, it is what it is. But as I was saying guys, I'll leave the camera put in at the rods for as long as we've got good light, and then yeah, we'll put the camera away for the night. So well, good morning guys. And we're blanking. Well, I knew it was a cold one last night. Even in my bivvy with the heater on, I could still feel it was a bit colder last night. And yeah, sure enough, several nights of kind of minus temperatures, and the lake has started to put a lid on it. So yeah, I've just had a little tap round the margins with me foot, and it's only kind of sort of cat ice or slightly thicker, but it's still enough to mean the rod tips are stuck in the ice, so I'll try and use the landing net in a minute to at least free the rod tips from the ice. I mean, the sun's not even above the trees yet. I've got up a bit earlier this morning, a couple of hours earlier than I have done the last couple of nights, because it's pack up day today. I've got about, what's the time, about 4 hours of my session left, guys. So yeah, at the moment I'm saying it's looking like another blank. Right, anyway, I'm going to have a go at trying to free the rod tips from the ice, guys, and then on the off chance we do get a run and I need to lift into a fish, but yeah, I'd say, I mean, you can see in the background, but I'd probably say maybe a third of the lake, all this side, bit up the other side is all iced over. Pegs 1 to 3 are still liquid. Peg 4 doesn't exist anymore. I had a look yesterday, that's where Paul's memorial bench sits, the former owner of this lake, who sadly took his own life October of 21. So Peg 4's now is a memorial area. But right, anyway, I'm going to crack on and try and free me rod tips, and then yeah, have some breakfast, and then after that it's going to be a slow pack up, guys. Oh Jesus, that was cold. Well, the rod tips are free of ice now anyway, guys, and on the off chance a run does happen in the last few hours, I've smashed about 6 foot of ice either side of the rods as well. I've only just about been able to free the rod tips. As luck would have it, I don't know if it's the fisheries or if someone's left it here, but in the back of my swim there's a weed rake on a rope. So that was a big help, because I just chucked that in a few times and that smashed a lot of the ice. And then sort of the landing net at sort of full stretch, sort of in between the rods. We are now free of ice, and yeah, use the landing net to smash the ice either side of the rods, just in case it has to be dipped in the water for a fish and not ice. Right then, guys, I'm going to call it an end to the video here. As you can see, everything else is packed up now, everything's on the barrow up there. We are now literally just down oh, excuse me, we're just literally down to the rods now. Obviously, always leave the rods to last. But yeah, so 11:30 now. There is literally just half hour of my session left now. Literally the time it's going to take me to pack the rods down and get everything packed away there. So yeah, so unfortunately, guys, this one was a blank. I'm going to probably put it down to the weather. When I was chatting to one of the bailiffs last night, when he was behind me swim doing some groundwork, he was saying that that fish I photographed on my first night here, next swim down, that's the only fish that's actually come out of this lake in about a week. So yeah, so for whatever reason the lake seems to have shut down. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I sort of saw on social media this place is fishing well. Obviously something has made it, shut down at the moment. Was it the weather? We've had several nights of consistent freezing weather. Was it because a couple of days ago they sealed txi-d the lake? Has that put the fish off feeding for a little while? Who knows? But whatever reason, the end result is unfortunately this one's been a blank. Anyway, thanks for watching, and next week I'm going to be fishing down Somerset way, place near Bridgewater, Willow Fishery. It's a fairly new lake. I'm going to be fishing with my mate Craig, and one of his mates is going to be coming along as well. So that's going to be the next video, guys. So till then, tight lines, and I'll see you in the next video.